All right, welcome to the raw, unedited version of the Sunday Morning Linux Review. To listen to our expertly edited version, please go to smlr.us. Thanks.
The Sunday Morning Linux Review, starring Mary Talmadge, Tony Bemis, and Matt Anders as the beaver.
And this is episode 155.
The Death of Flash.
We were trying to think of a clever way to say that, but
Death. A
yeah,
flash. Yeah.
yeah,
Flash Death.
a flash death. Yeah.
Flash
Yeah,
death.
yeah.
All right.
All
And this
right.
is Tony Bemis,
Mary Tomich.
And Tom Lawrence.
and
There we are.
yeah, here we are.
We still have to get used to how we are going to say that, I
Right.
guess. Um, but anyway, so well, good. Let's kind of catch up
Yeah.
in the last 2 weeks.
I would say that I'd say we start off a little bit about Matt. That he's not going to be here for quite a while. Um, and
hmm
uh, I'm not sure how. Well, it's all public knowledge, right? Or
Well, uh, he's attending to some personal issues. He's not available for public consumption, I guess, is what we could
yeah,
say.
until after sometime in October.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it'll be quite a while
hmm
before we hear really what's going on
hmm
um, for
yeah, he ran into some
definite.
little bit of problems, but you know. So anyway, but in Matt's stead, Tom Lawrence is joining the show, and I'm excited to have him here, and I know Tony, you are too.
Yeah, you know
Because
what?
you are a
Actually,
wealth of knowledge, Tom. I tell you,
right.
great
It,
stories.
it's actually not in Matt's stead that we had invited him on about 2 months ago, or no, it was 3 months ago, I think, when you first came on, and
Yeah.
then
Around Penguin Con time.
almost 2 months ago, we the three, Matt, Mary, and I had decided that hey, why don't we just have a fourth person on, and Tom can be here all the time.
Yeah, I don't remember the show number, but it was like the first show after Penguin Con. I
hmm
talked about how my business uses open source from pretty much top to bottom, and so
Yeah, and we so Tom had you agreed that you'd want to be on a
yeah.
normal basis,
hmm
and then it just happened to be that next show that Matt wasn't here, and then he's not going to be here for a long time.
Yeah. So.
Um,
And as fate would have it, I live almost 2 miles from Tony.
yeah.
Oh
If I
yeah,
wasn't
it's great.
lazy, I would walk here.
Or ride your motorcycle. You
Yeah,
could probably do that, I
I could
suppose.
ride my motorcycle, but it would be hard. I thought about it. I'm like, then I drop my laptop and be like,
Yeah, that's true. You
Right.
don't want to do that. Don't want to do
I
that.
wish I could put it in a backpack and secure it, but
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still live 20 miles away.
Right.
No walking for me.
No.
So anyway,
Uh,
but that's kind of the change to the show. Yeah, thanks, Tony. I was not even thinking about that, but yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that,
yeah.
just so that we could catch people up.
Um, and then I don't. My last couple weeks have been busy at
hmm
work. I've taken on. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but officially I'm taking on the monitoring system at work. So
Mm.
we monitor all the routers and switches throughout the environment, and just the Oakwood environment is
I was gonna ask you.
close to 600 routers and switches, and we're going to be adding on all of the new Beaumont and Botsford
Wow.
routers. So this will be the monitoring system for the Beaumont Health system,
hmm
and I think they said they bought enough licenses for everything. I don't know
Well,
exactly how many that
you want to
is.
do an audit,
Right,
just to make sure that
yeah,
you're compliant. Yeah.
but I think at the end we're going to have close to 2 to 3,000 devices that we're going to be monitoring.
Wow,
Yeah,
are you using the standard? Oh, I'm assuming they're all Cisco. Or majority is
primarily we have Cisco routers and switches and checkpoint firewalls. For our remote sites, it's a a Cisco switch with a checkpoint firewall with no Cisco router.
then just
But
VPN back into the main.
right, yeah, and that's for our small like clinics and stuff. And then we have direct connections from our larger sites. We use ACE. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's the ATT switched Ethernet.
Okay.
So it's actually a layer 2 connection between our sites. So it looks like we're plugging into a network switch and we can see everybody.
Well,
It's
that's
really
neat.
cool. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Years ago when I worked in corporate, we just have lease lines between our buildings at first before we moved them back over to VPN.
Oh,
Before
yeah.
that, I had the dial-in boxes for our
Oh,
Unix stuff.
wow.
I used to maintain those.
Wow.
Those are cool.
Yeah. It's similar to lease lines, but it's not a physical connection from one end to the other.
They're
Like a
essentially
lease
just
line is.
handling all the kind of like a VPN, but
Right.
it's layer 2.
Yeah, exactly.
That's neat.
Yeah. And so we're using SolarWinds Orion for our monitoring system. And they had uh, a like a webinar seminar this week that I attended, just from my desk. And it's called THWACK Camp.
Thwack.
Yeah, it's TWACK.
THWACK.
Just TW.
TW. Okay.
No,
Thwack.
no, I'm sorry, it is TH. Yeah, it's
Okay.
THWACK, and that's their like community, forums and stuff is THWACK, and and then it was like camp. It was 2 days of videos and stuff, and it was really
Mhm.
interesting seeing what other people are doing with it, and it gives me an idea of what's possible, so that whenever we go on, I can make suggestions and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Wow. So it sounds like your responsibilities are getting greater and greater.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you're seeing that in the bottom line.
That's the plan.
All
Yeah.
right.
Not yet, but that's the plan.
Well, you went
Good.
through the boot camp at Cisco and everything, so
Yeah.
you got the tools. You're ready.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Just
And you're
promote you.
yeah, and you're off for the summer too from class, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
so that's helping out a lot that I'm not
I bet.
having to take classes and study all at the same time.
That's yeah.
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 All right.
So what's going on with you, Mary?
Well, let's see. In the intervening 2 weeks, you remember me talking a little bit about the display on my laptop that I would drag a window and it would just like repaint.
Yeah, in the last show you said you were either going to try to get it fixed or just wipe and reinstall.
Yeah, I was lazy. I took the latter one because I didn't want to sit there and start to dink around and spend hours and hours trying to get it to work. I mean, it might not take that long. So I just thought, oh yeah, I'm just going to reinstall PCBSD, the latest version. So I go ahead and do that. One thing I didn't notice when I first installed it, it's generally like a Linux distro install, the same questions, that type of thing. But at the very end, they ask you what PID you want for your user. And I'm thinking,
Oh.
wow, I've never seen that asked in a Linux distro. But they give you a default one like 1001, 1001, which I think is the standard one.
Yeah, that's a standard.
So I just thought that was kind of interesting when it offered me that. But during the install, I did have the opportunity to take the legacy NVIDIA driver, which I did, and
Hey.
it now loads and it's fixed fine. And again, I probably could have spent some time either building it from the ports and then building it and installing it from the ports and getting it to point to that instead. But I kind of took the easy way out.
Yeah.
I imagine let you choose the user because that would be easy. If you were the third user on there already, when you set up a new one, that way all the file permissions follow because it's all set to the
Oh
third user.
yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
yeah.
So 1003, 1001. Easy if you're
Yeah.
the only user, but if you've got a couple people on your system, that's probably a nice way to match it up where you can just pick it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. So yeah, so I did that. I also ordered Michael W. Lucas's new book. Well, it's actually been out for maybe a couple months. FreeBSD Mastery ZFS.
I like the cover.
Hey.
Yeah, it is great, isn't it? Everybody's got the.
What's on the cover?
Yeah, I'll show it out on. Oops, I'm pointing to the monitor. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the little beastie guy, he's on a really tricked out bike, and all the other guys are on those old fashioned 2-wheel bicycles.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So he's
I like it.
yeah. So but anyway, so I'm going to be reading that over the next couple weeks, and if I don't do a Linux distro review the next show, I will do a review of the book. And I also want to make a mention too. Michael W. Lucas is going to be and as part of this, there's a brand new BSD user group. It is out in Livingston County, out near, I think it's near Brighton. It's north of Brighton, out in Whitmore Lake or out in that area, Hamburg. The
Yeah.
Hamburg Public Library on August 20th. There'll be a link to this in the show notes, I promise. There's a BSD user group meeting, and he's going to be out there speaking about ZFS. So I'm gonna be out there for that.
Nice. Yeah, and if you
Um,
don't know the Michigan area, then Brighton or that area,
it's
that's
northwest of
about
Detroit, about
Yeah.
northwest, about 40 miles, 40,
35,
50.
40
Yeah.
miles. Yeah. So it's like north of Ann Arbor,
Yeah.
I guess is the way to
Just take
describe it.
96 all the way.
I might
Pretty
go to
much.
that. I'm
Yeah.
interested in ZFS. I mean, we're using it on our FreeNAS box. It's been solid.
Hmm.
It's survived every power outage, and
Hmm.
the number of files. I mean, I think we got about 4 terabytes of files and tons of small files on it. It just doesn't slow down. It's working wonderfully.
Yeah.
Nice.
Then you ought to go to that
Yeah,
session.
it makes me curious when I see something that robust, because when we were using standard Linux RAID arrays, one of the problems we ran into was quantities of small files really chugging up the system. This system is just
Mhm.
smooth as silk with that, because as we back up clients' computers, we're dumping their entire user folder there, which includes tons of temp files, sometimes like 10,000 little temp files, and that was always a handling issue. And
Hmm.
the FreeNAS server, it's just smooth as silk with that, no issues at all. And we had one of our RAID array drives fail, and we shrugged our shoulders, popped the drive in, it resilvered, and boom, done. Like no problems.
Wow.
So I was like, I like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So anybody who listens to the show and lives out that way, attend it. I think it'll be very informative. So we'll hope to see you there.
Sweet.
So yeah, so those are a couple of things. I had a garage sale last weekend and sold one of my old computers. It had Windows. Well, it was a Windows computer,
Mm.
Windows 7 on. I thought I could wipe it and just put Linux on there. And I'm
Right.
thinking, I have a feeling that for most folks just selling it, I could probably get more money selling it with Windows 7 on it than I could with Linux. So
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
it'd be more
and I was all
common.
about making money, and so yeah, they had Office 2013 on it, so I did
Hey.
sell it for $100.
Wow.
Computer monitor,
Yeah.
keyboard.
I always
That's pretty
feel
good.
like,
Yeah.
even though I use open source in my business, I feel awkward. There's not a single, of all, we were at 20 laptops for sale, and 0 of them have Linux on there.
Yeah.
But it's really is, we just following what the consumers are asking for. We do have a couple Linux customers that are they just are really security conscious people, and they like it. But for the most part, the general consumers are going, I need to know everything's right there.
Right.
Of course, Windows 8, I could probably convert some people because they really don't
Oh.
like Windows 8.
But for me, when I'm giving away a computer, I put Linux on
Yeah.
it, and if I'm selling one, and I don't sell them that often. I usually
Yeah.
just give them away, so they usually have Linux on it. Ubuntu, Kubuntu.
Yeah.
I just gave away a system to our radio patrol, Citizens Radio Patrol.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I donated it to them, and it's got Kubuntu on there.
Cool.
So
Nice.
it's really running. It's got the long-term support version. It's running great.
Sweet.
So, yeah. So that's pretty much what I've been up to.
All right.
So Tom, anything to add from your side of things?
Working on lots of little projects we're getting ready to build, and I'm probably gonna document this one. I need to document more of some of the things I do when we're in our office, but we're gonna build a new virtualization system for our servers. We have one large server, and then it runs a product called PHP VirtualBox, which gives you a PHP front end web interface that looks exactly like VirtualBox. I
Really?
think they've all updated to version 5 now, and so we're gonna do the new server. I've been waiting to release this because there's some major performance improvements in VirtualBox version 5. So I'm going to move everything over to that and just build a new server. The other one's been running for a few years, and I figured, why not replace it? It's not broke, but it's been running for a few years, and it runs my company, so it scares me if it goes down. Everything's backed up, everything's mirrored, but we're going to leave the other one in place as a backup. I'll eventually tear it down, upgrade it. So even though it's a little bit slower of a machine, I can always just copy the files back over to it, and I'll probably set up a mirroring system for that.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
but I don't need
Yeah.
to document it. I put all these systems together, and then I forget to document what I did. And people are like, "What'd you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I did this and this." And I'm like, "Oh,
You should have a little recorder because to
Yes.
stop what you're doing and type. Oh, okay, I did this.
That's my problem." What I've been doing is I started recording more. We recorded and produce a lot of YouTube videos.
That's right. You were talking about that last
Yeah,
episode.
we have like ones of how we tear down laptops and things like that. And I got cameras that I mount on overhead booms. So this way I can do it a step further, just document what I'm doing when I'm building out these servers and doing a write up. I mean, I've got over 16,000 views now on my PF Sense talk, which is a 45-minute talk I do, but it's also allowed me to interact with a lot of people. I just got a guy email me today. I've helped him set up some of the more intricate things like QoS and things like that on PF Sense. I can't believe how many people in Russia are using it. It is
Really?
hugely popular over there. And
PF Sense?
yeah,
Really?
yeah, almost all the emails from people with questions have been in Russia and some of the other
Hmm.
former Soviet states.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I just got one from the Philippines last night. I got some emails to answer. He needs help set
Yeah.
up POS as well. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's pretty impressive.
someone had a really great suggestion because I need to revise it because they added some more features to it. I'm going to do time indexes because they allow you to do this on YouTube where you can click to the section you're interested in. So each one has its own separate title. I'm starting with QoS, or I'm starting on the part where just you configure a firewall. That way people can jump around and talk to just the part they need.
I've seen. I
Ah.
think I've seen some videos like that. That's
Yeah.
very convenient.
I like that. That way you can
Yes.
just jump to, it's like when I watch any unboxing videos, I just don't care what the box looks like. I want to know how the product performs. So whenever I can, I skip the unboxing.
Hmm.
I'm going to throw that package away. I'm sorry. I'm not
Right.
fascinated by that. Show me how the thing works so I can use it.
Yeah. And to go back to the VirtualBox 5.0,
Mhm.
I think I mentioned this on my Google Plus stream. I was very happy to see that it's now supporting drag and drop from
Yes.
host to the virtual machine, because I had used one of those little transfer clients, Ducto, I think it was,
Oh, yeah.
where I would start it on the host machine, start on the virtual machine, and then I would just send it in.
Yeah.
But I was very happy to see that.
Yeah, I seen a few people, and I actually haven't loaded it myself.
Yeah, I haven't either.
But
tried it.
they just simply, ran the Windows Performance Index from right before they upgraded to right
Mhm.
after,
Mhm.
and seen 10 and 20% improvements in there. So that'd be kind of nice because I have
Yeah.
to run. The only time I run Windows is for Photoshop. I'm sorry, people who love GIMP, but
Mhm.
Photoshop just does the graphics great. So I fire up my VirtualBox and run Photoshop in there.
I'm a Gimpster, but I've never used Photoshop, so Gimp's
Yeah.
all I know, and I like it.
It
But,
works.
it's
good for the
choice is
basics.
good. Choice is good.
Yeah, choice is good.
And so I'm going to give a little tip of the hat to Oracle for that release of VirtualBox.
Absolutely.
Because
Hey. Right. How much?
we've not always tipped our hat to Oracle on
Right.
this show, have we?
On a side note, if you're using it as a package update, because it's a completely new version, you have to remove it and install the new one.
Oh,
It won't
good.
just update. They're still
Okay.
maintaining patches for the 4 series, so
Mhm.
it'll just keep updating the
point.
4 series and won't jump you to 5. So if you are wondering, going, "Hey, wait, I didn't know it was released," it's because you have to actually remove 4 and install 5 and install the PPA for it.
Okay.
If you're using it that way.
Good to
Yeah.
know.
I've always gone just download it straight from Oracle
Yeah.
because you get the newest stuff, and
Yes.
it's always the package is always behind. And
Yeah, I always found that too. I do the same thing myself.
Yeah.
I
What
don't-
format's available from the Oracle website?
there's
Dot
dev
dev?
packages.
Dev,
Okay.
And
RTM,
Okay.
And forget what else is on
there's
there.
the tarball.
Oh, yeah, there's a tarball of it.
Okay.
It is a closed source product, but I still
Right.
like it. It's
Well,
it
the
works so well.
Mhm.
right, and the other reason I always download is because I want USB support,
Yes.
and you have to download it from Oracle to get USB support.
Yeah, the USB support part
Oh,
is
okay.
the closed source part, so they don't distribute it to the VPAs.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. So you have to, like, if you want to use a flash drive and have it go straight into the
Mhm.
host, or no,
I didn't know
the
that.
guest
Yeah.
operating system, you can plug it in, and only if you have the closed version that it'll actually go straight to the guest.
Right.
Okay.
And one of
So
the
I guess Richard Stallman won't be running that, will he?
No. One of the things that we use it for is I have a series of USB drives plugged into my virtual system, and it's not for the system itself.
Mhm.
It's for a backup server that I designed that runs in Linux, and it needs direct USB support. So through that, the 2 external drives are sitting there, and that's how it interacts with them. So the guest OS boots up and then connects to the USB directly, and there's no performance difference. I can copy files just as fast to the USB drive as I can there.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, wow, that's for 2 weeks. That's a lot of info. That's pretty
Right.
good, Tom. All right. So I guess we'll move on to some kernel updates, or actually a kernel update. I think you had
A
something.
kernel update. Let's see. 1 million new lines of code hit the Linux kernel. Apparently 40% or so was headers for the new AMD driver. They're actually removing 250,000 of code as well. They
Okay.
didn't really
So the net
specify-
change is, so if they're adding 1 million, removing 250,000.
Yeah, 750,000
There
is
we
the
go.
net change. Had to math it for a second. But it sounds like they're going to be a really big support for the AMD GPU. If you haven't seen these, AMD is doing a lot of strong integration for their GPUs with
Mhm.
their V-built systems. But it's been around a little bit, but they keep ramping it up. It's nice because they're consolidating everything in one chip, which makes the board a lot easier. So
Mhm.
you get an external graphics card. and the performance on them is actually really reasonable. I'm glad to see because I've always run NVIDIA cards because of their strong support in Linux, but it sounds like finally we're going to get some strong
Right.
AMD support, which is definitely I like more
Mhm.
options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with it built into the kernel, then you can do more of just normal processing on the GPU now, right?
Yes.
And that's a huge performance upgrade.
Right, and that's been some of the problems. You build your Linux system and you don't have good GPU support. So even though you have a good one that would work in Windows for the drivers, you got to add a card in just because you want your Linux video to be a lot smoother. So,
Right.
um,
Well, and I'm not saying just the graphics. I'm talking about like other
other applications
yeah.
as well.
There's been applications or projects I've seen where they take and use the GPU for I know back I don't know it was 5 years ago they were
Yeah.
using it for
And
Bitcoin.
they still are.
Oh yeah, for yeah,
They've only ramped that up.
really.
Yeah, the it's really we could do a whole talk on just the Bitcoin. If you haven't seen, they take the graphics cards out of machines and they don't build them into computers. They simply have connectors that power up the graphics cards, and through a series of just USB, they just send the commands, do the crunching, and they build entire arrays of GPUs. And they're just grabbing your standard NVIDIA high-end gaming cards and daisy chaining lots of them together.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they're not plugging them into a board.
Mhm.
They're powering them up with a special controller, and then
Huh.
just commands through via USB to one system to do the Bitcoin mining.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty neat. Bitcoin or any of the other ones, apparently, the type of instruction sets that GPUs are capable of are really, really keen on that type of number crunching, so they work really, really well for it.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And
I don't like Bitcoin anyway. I don't know. I mean, I understand the concept. I don't understand the specifics of it. And
I've done a lot of in-depth reading on it. It's fascinating.
I think it's a fascinating read, but as far as me relying on digital currency,
There's a big scary aspect of it.
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, from what I've heard a few other people really analyze it, and they said that it's the closest thing to a for being digital that to an actual currency,
Yes.
and tying it because a currency is tied to specific things to keep it relevant or keep it
Right.
level.
Well, not our currency these
Right,
days.
it's supposed
But
to
yeah,
like
it's
yeah, it
supposed
used
to,
to
yeah.
be tied to gold
The gold
or
standard.
yeah, and not anymore. But so the Bitcoin was tied
Currencies.
to GPU cycles or
Well,
processing
a little bit more-
availability
a
or
little bit broader than that. So we came out with the gold standard when Nixon signed it off in the
Mhm.
'76, and then it's
Bretton Woods.
Yes.
Yeah, you go.
And so we moved on to being controlled by the Federal Reserve, which there's federal is FedEx. That's a whole other discussion. But
Mhm.
they control the currency and basically by adjusting inflation rates and all the things that they do. With digital currency, because it's non-government dependent, which is really nice. But what it's dependent on is the fact that it's unsolvable to do it. Now, the good and the bad. There's a transaction log floating for every single transaction that has ever occurred with me and you
Mhm.
exchange any partial amount of coin. It gets added and hashed into the transaction log. So it's not anonymous. I don't think a lot of people realize that it's not anonymous currency because
Oh,
there's
that's
always your
interesting.
traction ID.
I think
So-
the take is that it's kind of anonymous.
Too many people make that assumption.
Yes.
It's anonymous because you're assigned some type of fractional number that is assigned to you, so we know who you are.
So it's like a UUID.
Right. We don't know who that person is, but we realize who that transaction holder is.
Okay.
But that system has to be in place, so it's a forever long, infinite transaction log for every transaction. If you didn't have that, you need a bank or something to manage it. So that's how it manages the transaction log. But how it works as far as value is by cracking each individual coin
Okay.
through a series of hashing. So as it does that, you can produce a new coin. These people who are cracking and hashing the coins out, they're also processing the transaction log. So when I want to send money to you, the verification system, it's an impossible math, not impossible, but hard math problem
Mhm.
to solve and add each transaction. So who does that? No one wants to give up CPU cycles for free. That's why you have groups of people who are always adding the next coin, but also in adding the next coin, they have to
Do some work
they
for
have
it.
to do some work, and part of that work
It's
is
changing the nature of work.
changing the nature of work. And once all the coins, I think it's by the year 2030, once all the coins have been mined, the next step from there is going to be where the transaction fee is actually going to be paid to those who want to run the transaction servers. So
Mm.
someone's always going to want to run them, and for every transaction that goes across, anytime two people exchange money, they're going to get a fee based on that. Now, what it's tied to, hard to say because that's one of the reasons they've had so many fluctuations in Bitcoin value versus the dollar.
Right.
But which one's really changing? The value of the dollar, the value of Bitcoin? It kind of comes on perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always my favorite analogy was it cost you I think it was like 11 gold bricks in 1972 to buy a Corvette, and it cost you in 2015 11 gold bricks to buy a Corvette. Did gold value change, or did
Yeah,
you
that's
take in-
yeah.
yeah? So it's a different perspective, but the hard cracking part of that is what makes it really interesting, and it's a global currency, so I can instantly do business without a bank, without an intermediary between two people, and that's to me what adds a lot of value with any cryptocurrency. Me and you can have a transaction that's the same as cash, but we could be here and in Japan, and it's secure. I don't have to worry about anything else. It's just there.
Yeah.
And then you lock it down. Of course, if you lose your password, you lose your account. There is no recovery because there's no intermediary to go, hey,
Okay.
I need a password reset. There's not someone to do that for you.
Right.
Wow.
So that's kind of scary. But all the big companies now are including Braintree Payments, who runs the back end for Uber, Lyft, and a lot of the other startups. They're actually accepting Bitcoin, which made it really nice because they're the integration. So if you're an app developer or a web developer, instead of PayPal, you can go with companies like Braintree. They already have the cryptocurrencies built in. I think they support Dogecoin and Bitcoin now.
Nice.
So if
Okay.
you accept those and you want to build an app, you just plug into Braintree, all the coding's done. So one more.
Okay.
It's pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I still like my dollars.
It's still, yeah, it's physical. It's
It
to my
is.
hand.
That's why I have this hardcover book too.
Yes.
But anyway, but interesting information, especially the anonymity aspect, because you're right, Tom. There's a lot of people.
Pseudo-anonymous,
There's a
yes.
lot of people that kind of think that it is, but if you do some digging, as you obviously did, it is eventually traceable.
Yeah, it's eventually traceable. You're assigned an anonymous ID, and if they ever figure out who you are, and as soon as you order something that brings it to your house, they can then take that transaction ID and go, "Who are you?" and trace it backwards to every transaction you ever made. So
Yeah.
the government likes it in that aspect because it's more traceable than currency.
Okay.
And
Right.
our government does recognize it as currency because they had a case that they prosecuted someone for hiding money, and in order to say you're hiding money, they had to say it was money.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
Yeah, that's a good.
They tried that angle, going, we weren't subverting the IRS. No, that's money. Well, if you're saying it's money, then it has to be official currency. So in order to go through some prosecution, they had to say, I guess that
They had
is
to
money.
acknowledge that. Yep,
Wow.
they did.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to move on to.
Move on to the soundboard died. Move on to
Tony, what's going on with the Linux distributions this week?
the distros for this bye week.
Yes.
So
Actually, fairly short. You know.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I didn't notice, but I'm going
I
to right
did.
now. All right. So on the 9th, we have Point Linux 3.0,
Mhm.
And they're Debian based with a choice of Mate, XFCE, or GNOME 3. Right.
Yeah. Yes. And actually, the formatter, this particular ISO will support live DVD as well as USB. And they also mentioned too, although they don't say it, it's not there on DistroWatch, that this particular release they've done some updating to the installer that they've got. They're up to 0.19.8. It's a GUI, GUI
All right.
installer. So.
Cool.
And they both, they're still supporting 32-bit and 64-bit, as you can see. So that's kind of nice for people who have older computers.
Right. And on the 17th, we have SUSE Linux 11, or SUSE Linux Enterprise 11,
Mm-hmm.
SP4. So it's a service pack update for SUSE.
Mm-hmm. It does, or it is. And one thing they noted on their website, and sometimes, we all know this, I think, but sometimes when you see it in writing, it just kind of drives the point home, especially for these major distros. But they've got over 4,000 independent software vendors who are certified in the platform to have their applications on the platform. That's pretty good. And they also, SUSE also was mentioning too that they've got over 19,000 customers who use SUSE Linux Enterprise 11. So
It's a good customer base. to keep the
yeah,
product
that's
going.
pretty
Yeah.
good. That's pretty good. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh yeah, they did have some upgrades to the Btrfs or BTR or BetterFS or whatever you want to call that
Yeah.
file system, so that it'll improve performance and manageability. So they did have that on there too.
All right, cool. Next up on the list we have is on the 18th is Chromixium OS 1.5, and I remember seeing this come out a month or two ago. The first
Mhm.
release, and it's a Ubuntu based that attempt to make it look and feel like Chrome OS.
Yes, and one thing they did with this particular release, and this goes back to what we were talking. I don't know if we were recording at the time we talked about SourceForge versus
No, we didn't.
GitHub and all of that, and the SourceForge's situation. But Chromixium, what they've done, they said on their website, they said while SourceForge gets its act back together, they are releasing this particular version of Chromixium on GitHub. So there's a full release announcement there if people want to see what's going on. But just a couple of quick comments on it. Um, I think previous releases of Chromixium had PZIP, and they're using File Roller now for better integration with the Files application. And then also they've added and I applaud them for this, left-handed mouse adjustment. So so anyway, so that's kind of cool. I'm glad to see that. And they also mentioned too that this release requires a fresh installation. So if you're running a previous version, you're going to want to and you don't, if you're running a previous version and don't want to install, just install Service Pack 1, which includes many of the improvements that are in this release. So you can either go with a fresh install and get the latest, or you can just install Service Pack 1 and get most of them.
I wonder why they did that. That's interesting. That
Yeah.
They allowed us an upgrade path on there.
Yeah, it's kind of like VirtualBox 5 or something. I don't know.
Maybe it's just a name difference. You can, instead of saying here's the upgrade to 1.5, they say, well, here's the service pack to 1.5
Some
could
reason-
be.
because it's a
my-
.5 maybe.
Yeah,
with
could
my
be.
mail server, I mean, I think I installed it. I looked it up one time. It was 2004, I believe, and I've just done every Debian distribution upgrade. And it
Mhm.
still works. Just blows my mind. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just in place. Keep going, keep going. Broke only this last one broke Apache, so it's like, and it was a minor. It was stuff that was bugging me last time. It says this has been deprecated feature. You should remove it. I'm like, but it boots.
Right.
So I'll keep it running.
Right. But it works.
Yeah, it works. So
All
anyway.
right. Yeah, that's very cool. And I'm going to set up a computer for my kids soon, so I'm debating on whether to use something like that because it's just small or simple to use, or to go with one of the kid-based ones.
I'm sure you get them programming stuff so they learn how to program.
And Tux
Yeah.
Paint.
Yeah,
My kids
That's
Tux
love
right.
Tux Paint growing up.
Right. All right, and then last on the list from the 18th also is Android x86 4.4 R3. So this is a release update for the Google's Android to run on x86 processors.
Yeah, and I think way back on a episode a long time ago, I think I reviewed this. Actually got it to install and reviewed it. But on this particular release, they've got the suspend and resume. They said that there may still be some problems on some systems with suspend and resume. And because I don't think on Android, well, you do have suspend and resume in a way. If you hit if you touch your on and off button, it'll kind of suspend your phone, or it'll turn it off. Not turn it off.
How
But,
they're doing on the. I haven't read a lot about the project, but the power efficiency would be a big issue with those because that's one thing they're really well on. My phone lasts all day, even though
Yeah.
So can they port that type of over with not using
Yeah,
wrist chips?
good.
They port it to x86.
Good question. And then the only other thing they did mention too is that the installer can't format ext3 file systems. So I'm sure that's a known issue. They're working on it, and I'm sure we'll see that available in an upcoming release.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, and that's it. That's the distro list.
Cool. All right. And then we're going to go on to
The distro of the week, according to Distro Watch, calculated by website hits per day.
the top 5 for this week.
Okay.
And at number 5, we have OpenSUSE with 1083.
Yep, and that is trending up.
And number 4, we have Zorin with 1197.
And that also is trending up.
And number 3, we have Debian with 1287.
Make that 3. The third one trending up.
Number 2 is Ubuntu with 1298.
And that's holding steady.
Yeah, and in the number one spot is Mint.
Yep, and that is also trending up. So
Yeah, trending up at 28.75.
yes, and yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a big difference from last week. Everything was down, or 2 weeks ago, everything was trending down, and then this one's almost everything's up.
yeah. People got back from vacation and started
Must be.
looking at
Loading all
distros.
their new distributions.
Right.
And you know something, I will confess, when I was transitioning this laptop to the latest PCBSD, I considered putting Linux on it
Yeah.
just for a short while. And I was thinking, okay, if I were to do that, which one would I pick? And I was thinking, well, maybe Zorin, because you know Zorin. If you recall, Zorin has those 5 different. You can make it look like Windows. Well, not that I would do this, but for people who are transitioning from Windows, they've got kind of a Windows look to
Yeah.
it. They've got another look. They've got a number of different looks you can put on your system if you want to have it appear to be, you know, Windows or you know Linux, whatever you want. So,
Yeah.
so that was one I was looking at, but as you guys heard earlier, I'm running BSD.
Nice.
So
I like when they allow some interface stability because that's the easiest
Mhm.
thing to get users over. They just know where things are, and most people are just opening up
Precisely.
a browser. Your end users. So as long as they put the browser at the bottom, put the little start button so they can open a couple of things they open,
mhm,
make the icons the same, away they go.
Yeah.
that's good. All is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to ask our audience that this computer is set up for my kids. There's one is 2.5, and the other, or this fall they'll be 3 and 4 or 3 and 5. I'm sorry. So what a lot of the kids distros that I see out there are based for kids that are like 8 and 10. A lot of educational where they have to be reading on the thing, and is there a distro out there that is 4 or 5 year olds, and so that's what I'm looking for right now.
Because ideally, it would have like a kiosk mode where there's very few things they can get into.
Yes, exactly.
So dad will spend a lot less time undoing stuff.
Right. Well, it has to be um, kid friendly, and where the mom can just turn it on and let them play,
Yes.
where I don't have to be around, because that's what the day will be like. I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be working.
Yeah, you need remote support from work.
Right.
They did something.
Actually, I could do that. I have that set up. But
Yeah.
Well, now remember I think it was the last episode I reviewed a distro and it had this tool, not Comprise, I think it was.
mhm.
It is an educational game kind of suite of things that
Yeah.
you need to well,
Yeah, that's what
I
I
think you
want to look.
should.
Yeah, I
I
want to look
wanna-
into that, see what that
yeah.
is. But like I said,
Mhm.
if it involves reading, to run the game or to play the game,
Mhm.
then
Forget
that's-
about it.
yeah,
You don't want
that's
your kids
not-
to read.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
I
kidding.
I was gonna
Tony,
say,
I'm
how
kidding.
many kids before they go into kindergarten do you know that are reading full sentences on?
I think your
You
kids
know.
could be the first. I would work with them on that. You know.
And Minecraft has made my son a better reader.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's
His-
interesting.
Oh yes, I refused to help him with some things as he just got to learn it. So he's had to go through and read through how to do certain things. And
Ah.
because they run
Yes.
Minecraft on Linux, they've had to learn how to use tar to move files where they need to go to show hidden folders in there. So it's,
Nice.
Yeah, it's been a strong learning thing for them because they just I wouldn't help them and they were very determined to play Minecraft. Just I knew that determination would overcome. I pointed him in the right direction, but I'm like, you got to sit down and read how to do it. Here's the how-tos.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and Tony, it's actually called G G Compris, G
Okay.
Compris, and that's GCOMPRIS. But because there's a French aspect to this, I think that S is probably silent. And it's an educational software suite. And again, I pulled this out of Wikipedia or someplace, comprising of numerous activities for children aged 2 to 10.
Oh, great.
So some of the activities are game oriented, but nonetheless still educational. So if they're
Yeah.
focused on 2-year-olds, then I'm thinking that there's probably going to be something there that your little chillins are gonna
Yeah. Yeah,
do
that's
okay.
awesome.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I definitely will look into that.
That's
okay.
pretty cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I already brought it up on
mhm.
here. Yeah,
Well, there's
nice.
alphabet and stuff. Yeah. So
Yeah,
wow, your kids are going to have really a cool system.
that's right.
So if anybody out there has other ideas for Tony's
I'd be
system,
interested too. That's something you get
Mhm.
questions of. I want to get my kids using a computer. Most time, the parents hand them a tablet. The problem with that is they break it.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, they drop it and break it,
Yeah.
or all they're learning is doing this, not
Right.
like mousing and
Right,
clicking
and I think
and
and
typing
keyboard
and
skills are huge. I mean,
Mhm.
my daughter now is 13; she types really well, and
yeah.
part of it's because of that. She spent a lot
But
of
she
time on
only
touch
uses her
type.
thumbs.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, no, but you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. Those you just learn on these touch screens, which I great. We're going to see a lot of those in the future, but I don't see the keyboard disappearing anytime soon.
Right.
I've used the text to voice. It just, yeah,
Nice.
it doesn't work as well.
All right.
So you know what you
And
should do, Tom? You should put together if you have customers or people that are asking for that. What might be a really good idea is put together an ISO that is really that's got stuff like that on there.
Yeah,
Maybe a couple of them, one for 2 to whatever, and then one for slightly older kids. And then when customers ask, I mean, that
Yeah.
might be a way for you to
start
you
getting
know,
more
consult
Linux
with
in their
them
life.
and yeah, yeah. So okay,
yeah. And so my plan is I don't want to take too much more time on this, but my plan for this computer,
Old
if
IBM.
you're looking at
Oh, there it is.
the
on
desk,
YouTube. Yep.
yeah, on YouTube. It's my old laptop I was running. It's a dual core, 3 gig with I think it has 4 gigs RAM in it, and I'm gonna leave it closed and like mount it underneath the desk, and then put a regular like a 17-inch monitor and a keyboard
Mhm.
and mouse with it, and then it'll be then they'll just use it like it's a desktop, and it'll just be chilling under the desk and
So there'll be a
um,
keyboard, a mouse, and a monitor that are sitting on
right.
the desk, and then this will be humming along in the background.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it'll be, I mean, nice. It's small,
Mhm.
for if you compare it to a desktop, it's like 10 times smaller than a desktop computer. And
Sure.
Go on eBay, and you'll find these for like $20 or Amazon. Get a dock for it.
oh, I have one.
Oh, okay.
I do.
Then
Yeah.
you can just mount it to the dock and stick it.
There you go, Tony.
Yeah.
They're solid too.
Yeah. I didn't think about my dock. I do have one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, you already have it then.
Yeah. Cool. Yep. And like I said, it has everything I need. And because I was debating whether to do this or go with like a Raspberry Pi or something.
Hmm.
But for a desktop distro, a Pi is always underpowered, and I don't want the kids getting frustrated, and not want to learn on it because
Well, the
it's
new PC on a stick is released. I haven't had a chance to really look at it, but if you haven't seen this, it's a little bigger than a Chromecast. It's an HDMI output with a USB and Bluetooth built in. It's, I don't know, a few inches by a few inches, and you
Mhm.
just plug it right into the monitor and all the computing functions there. I
Wow.
believe they're in the $80 range.
yeah.
So something
Hmm.
else to consider. I believe
Yeah.
it's shipped with a bunch of on them. Intel helped produce them.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah. Cool. All right.
All right. Well, there. All right. Where were we?
Yeah, where were we? I think we're going on to news next.
I think
Or was
we
there
probably
something
are.
else? Yeah,
I don't have a review this week because my review's next week.
right.
So anyway, Tom, I think earlier before we really started recording, you were talking about your mail server.
Mail server problems.
And this is going to be our tool tip, I think, because for anybody
Yes.
who's managing a mail server and that incoming spam and all that, Tom shared with us earlier a very unique approach, a very interesting and it may be unique approach for handling the
Yes.
spam that you get.
So there's a project out there. I use Postfix for a mail server running on Debian, and spam, even with blacklists and some of the other things, just kept finding its way through. There's just too many people who have infected machines, and they most of the way spam works is it's a hit and run. They come up, they hit the server, they drop the mail, and they leave. So there's a project out there called PostGray. It's a postfix gray listing policy server, and it's amazingly simple solution for solving spam. Anytime someone sends me an email, my server says, wait about 5 minutes before I'll actually accept this mail. Well, smart mail servers, Exchange servers, Google's Mail, no problem waiting, and they'll keep trying until the email goes through. What this does, though, to spam servers is they come, they hit, they don't got time to wait, they're moving on to the next server. There's clearly something wrong when it doesn't respond. It kind of puts it in slow motion, essentially, to the mail responses. So the spam just went away. I mean, the spam I was getting maybe about 5 or 10 a day. So I mean, like I had a major problem just my mail account, but it went to about 5 a week, maybe less.
5 a week?
Yeah, just the spam's
Wow.
gone.
I get
And-
5 an hour.
Yeah. I had a lot of filters in place with the real-time blacklist. I
Mhm.
mean, but it still was annoying to have these
Sure.
emails going to spam. I actually took out the blacklist, the real-time blacklist since then too.
Just to see if what.
Yeah, and I did not increase the spam. So Postgre really solved it for me.
Wow.
It also automatically adds people to a list. So once you've sent me an email once, and it passed the 5-minute test and actually went through, that's automatically whitelisted for pre-numbered days. I think I get the
Yeah.
days right now set to 7. That way,
Mhm.
when you send me email next time, there's not a 5-minute delay. I get it instantly. So this it
Nice.
works really well. It's super easy to integrate. It's
And that's
just
Postgrey, GREY or
yeah,
AY? Okay.
Postgrey, POSTGREY. We
Okay.
can throw the link to it in the show
Yeah.
notes. Really simple system. Run like I said, built-in, designed to work with Postfix. Maybe there's a way you could hack it to work with other things, but
Mhm.
it's integrates right into Postfix. I believe it's in the repository too.
Mm.
Wow. Yeah.
But really, it's a simple system.
Yeah, it sounds that way. And it
I-
sounds, and sometimes the most effective solutions are the simple ones.
Yeah, when I read about that, I said, okay, this is something I can try. I mean, and just by telling spam servers to wait, that's enough to deter them. Apparently, they have no patience.
Yeah.
You know, and speaking of that, I got to share this little thing too. Just a small digression. So hang in there, Tony. Uh, I get, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, but on my home phone, because I still have a home phone, because I don't want my cell phone to be my major point of
Mhm.
contact. I want to have a buffer there. So I have Verizon's Home Connect, which is like $25 a month. And it ties into their wireless system, but
Mhm.
it's all the minutes I want for $25 a month, and I love it. Except I get these spam calls,
Yes.
and and of course, if I don't I've gotten to the point now, if I don't recognize a number, I don't pick up the phone. And every once in a while, I think, oh, that looks like so and so's number, and I pick it up, and it's just dead. And then sometimes it'll click in. Well, what I discovered, although I didn't discover this actually, what I discovered that somebody else has done, and it worked for them, and I think it's working for me, is that you know those that special disconnect tone,
Yeah.
that dee, dee, dee,
Yes.
and then the number you have calling is not in service. Well, what I did this last week is when I got one of those, I have it set up to play. I got it off YouTube, so I had it ready to go. So as soon as I get the call, I click the call open, I start playing that thing, and I have not gotten a call since then.
So
Really?
Yeah.
on that trivia,
Wow.
there is a box they sell. That's what it does before it even picks up and gives it to you.
Mhm.
It rings the box. It's an analog box. It rings it, plays that tone, and then it hands off the phone to you if
Mhm.
the
Huh.
call didn't drop.
Hmm.
So it's a way to solve the automated systems.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, so because I think I pranked I will admit to pranking one of those spam callers. The guy pranked him and I think it ticked him off, because then I started getting a lot. I think he must have put my number on this
Oh.
thing. So I think, well, that's my punishment.
Yeah.
But then I found this out, and so.
So low tech
seems to-
solution though. My friend's dad showed me this. He gets a whistle around his neck, and I said, "What's that for?" And he goes, "Oh, whenever they call, they as in the people, he gets them, and he always asks for a manager. And when they get on the phone, he blows the whistle and hangs up."
That's another way.
I just gotta say
Yeah.
that's really low tech, but kind of amusing.
Yeah.
Right.
So but going back to those tones, and somebody said, yeah, put that on your recording, that
Yep.
kick off your voicemail recording
There
with
you
the
go.
3 tones, and then have your normal voicemail, because what'll happen is that robocall will hear
It'll
that
drop.
and will drop it. So
That's cool.
anyway, I just wanted to share that when you said that.
We got phone spammers and email
Yeah, there we
spammers.
go. So
Right.
we had some good tool tips this week. Well, at
Mhm.
least from my perspective.
Yeah.
So.
I've been in a ton of spam the last few months, and I'm gonna look to see if I can get my hosting provider to have that working.
It's such a simple. I mean, delaying email by 5 minutes is not. It's not very detrimental.
Right.
And the fact that it whitelists common senders, once they've sent you, you're whitelisted for 7 days. And like I said, that's predetermined. You whitelist them for longer, but that just solved the problem. I mean, I was just blown away.
Of course, if you're waiting for a link, the number link, the confirmation verification link
Oh, yeah.
from your
Yes.
bank.
Yes, and I've actually run into problems with that. I was annoyed
Yeah.
because I needed something I had to get done, and I had to get a password reset.
Yeah.
And of course, it's Microsoft. Now, I use LastPass to manage my passwords. I know the password's right. Microsoft says it's wrong and wanted to send a reset link. Yeah, that was
Mhm.
5 minutes of aggravation because I had something to fix on my Microsoft. I was setting up.
Oh yeah.
We were building a new server for a client, and you have to. Their remote access actually requires a Microsoft Live account when you're using the new server 2012
Oh, really?
Essentials.
Hmm.
Well, you can do it without it, but the easiest way to do it is just sign in with your Live account, and it
Mhm.
sets up the SSL for you very automatically. It's actually, I got to admit, the system worked, which I was shocked.
Hmm.
But resetting my Live account when I know, just because I haven't logged in, I guess they told me the password was bad. So
Hmm.
I had to wait 5 minutes, and the customer
Yeah.
went, "When's it going to be done? When's it going to be done?" Hold on, I'm gonna
Right.
sit here
Hang
aimlessly
on.
for 5 minutes waiting for email.
Yeah, give me
Good
just
things
a
come to
minute.
those who wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Well, so are we going on to?
Yeah, we're going on to
It's time for the tech news of the week.
the news.
The news.
All right. So what did you guys find this week?
Um, well, you probably saw, this goes along with the Flash discussion we had earlier that System 76, they're one of the Linux laptop manufacturers.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are abandoning Flash, saying it's too dangerous. So it's not going to come pre-installed on laptops that they sell.
Yep.
So that was one little thing that I had. Another thing that I had too, and this is about. This is kind of funny because I created a little joke on it on my Google Plus stream, but apparently there was well, there have been several glitches with Siri, but
Yes.
there was one glitch with Siri that if you said charge my phone 100%, it would cause some iPhones to automatically start dialing emergency services.
Oh, that's a bug.
Yeah, so they apparently have gotten it fixed, and I made some funny comment. Or at least I thought it was funny that a less well-known glitch was charge my card 100%. It would then max out your credit card
Right.
instead of charging 100% of the purchase. But that was a joke. I made that one up. But anyway, yeah. So there was yet another little glitch with Siri. So yeah. So there was that little bit.
Google is decided if you're running Chrome, if you didn't know this, if you say OK Google, it's automatically listening on a lot of Linux distributions. Google pointed the finger at Ubuntu, saying it was your fault for the way you do package updates, and everyone's going, we don't think it's a good idea to turn on automatic listening in there. But the way it does it, though, it's actually not sending it over the internet. They have now this is also controversial. It has a binary blob that gets downloaded and holds on your
A
computer.
binary blob.
Yes.
Oh.
And what it's doing is it's part of the listening apparatus to keep it automatically listening.
Right.
Now it's funny because I did update Chrome and it automatically turned on. And then my employees, because my microphone, like I have for podcasts, is usually on, and they're saying "Okay, Google" and sending my computer all over the place, and they're amusing themselves with this. So I turn off my microphone.
That
Oh, wow.
no, I tell you, Tom, it's interesting you say that because actually I'm pulling up my phone, but it happened on my tablet. I just got an Android upgrade,
It does it on those.
and suddenly Google has just turned on and is listening, and I'm thinking, okay, so it just popped this thing up. Why is it doing that? And now
What's even more fun is whenever they talk about it and they say, "Okay, Google," my stuff starts going off in the podcast because I have it on the speakers and
Yeah.
my phone's listening to it.
well,
That's
one way
funny.
to solve those things is to get a little plug,
Yes.
snip off the headphone. I mean,
Just put it in there.
just
and
put it in
disables
there and it won't do it.
There's a couple. Yeah, there's some options to disable it. There's also Chrome settings you can turn off. It's called hot keywords. That's what they refer to them as. Because there's several different phrases you can use, but you can just turn that feature off altogether.
I
Right.
said a naughty word to it and it stopped.
They should have that where you just swear at it and it changes the
It
settings.
did.
Right.
It did.
Do you remember what,
if
do
I
you remember
couldn't-
what version number it was that? Because I don't know if I'm running the latest or I'm running 38.0.2125.
It's
blah,
whatever
blah.
the latest one was that came out within this.
Why don't you
this
go to
incident
Google
happened
and
the
say
last 2
latest
weeks.
version of Chrome?
Yeah, okay, Google, what's the latest version of
Right.
Chrome?
Well, actually, the reason I ask is so I'm looking through my settings and under privacy is where that check mark is, and mine is unchecked, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't gone in
Okay.
to do it yet.
Okay.
But it says it's enable OK Google.
But
to
be
start voice
careful
search.
because upgrade sometimes will change those, and it's buried
Right.
in the
Yes.
the agreement or the EULA, and who reads those?
Right, and I'm
I'm
a little
sad to
fuzzy
say.
on this because Google blamed Ubuntu for doing it, but not everyone seemed to have the problem. So I don't know if it's because if you've never touched the setting, it automatically. I wasn't clear on that part of it of why it's not 100% widespread. And for
Right.
me, for example, I have customizations. For example, like the Flash plugin disabled by default in my Chrome, so I'm not sure
Right.
if that affects it.
Yeah, and we were talking about that earlier before the show started about turning that off in
Yes.
Chrome by default. Where's that at? You said,
Go to Chrome://settings and then search for plugins. And there's a way to manually run plugins inside of Chrome. So instead of them running by default, you can choose like auto run JavaScript, but don't auto run Flash. And what it will let you do is let you right click on any Flash elements that come up and then say run this plugin specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I actually find it saves me a lot of the ads. Those full screen ads are almost always flash that annoy you when you go to some of the websites. Also, some of the overly flashy pop up,
Yeah.
over the top ads. Those all don't run. You just see a bunch of spot. I never right click those. I don't really want to spend a missing.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of Google add-ons and or excuse me, Chrome add-ons and things, there's a new browser that's going to be coming out. Actually, I think that it's out, at least in development versions, and it is that project is headed by an ex-Opera guy, and it's going to automatically be able to run Chrome.
Oh,
And I said, I posted that on Google Plus, and I said until Google finds out about it. But yeah, so it's going to be able to run. When I say Chrome, I mean Chrome extensions or the the add-ons that they've got. So
no, that's a good feature because there's a lot of great add-ons they have.
I like the remote desktop one.
The remote desktop's pretty neat. I use Spreed, Spreed. If
Mhm.
you haven't seen it, for
Mm-mm.
it makes reading articles way faster. It's easy to read 700-800 words a minute with it.
What does it do? Get rid of all the us, the a, all the prepositions?
I'd have to show you. It does what they
Spreed?
call Spreed. It does
Spreed.
it does a keyword focus. It actually reads it. It pulls the words up and darkens the screen and only puts the words. And it takes the emphasis letter of the word and puts it in the center and rolls the words really fast.
That's how you know so much.
Yeah, I'm obsessive about reading.
Oh,
and
I
can't
like
read things
yeah,
fast enough. So I
yeah.
found Spreed and I started using it. And once you get good at it, I mean, 900 words a minute is not really a problem.
Wow.
It's amazing how much it's like I can push information in my head faster.
Faster, yeah.
My wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm doing this until they can plug it into my head."
Right.
So I get that chip implant.
Yeah, but I can show you a
Oh,
demo of it
okay.
offline. But it's
Yeah.
really
All right. Well, yeah, I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah.
I wish you could do it with books. They're working on
Yeah.
it for the phone, and you'll understand when you see it why it's such a great phone application.
Well, and I have this ZFS mastery book. I have the e-version of it, but I started reading it and I think, oh, I always like to be able to flip through
Yeah.
and that type of thing. So having both is the most convenient.
You
But I got to believe they could take a PDF. It would seem to me they could take a PDF and apply that same technology to it to distill it down to what you need.
Yes.
The sad thing would be if you took a book. I'm not at all referring to this book because the ZFS book, this is full of a lot of great stuff.
Mhm.
If they did it to a book and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, anyway, that was my joke for the show.
Yeah.
All right. Laugh quietly amongst yourselves. But anyway, so when we last left off on the episode, where were we?
News.
News. That's
We're
right.
still
So
in news.
yeah.
Still
So,
in
well, that
news.
started with Siri. That's
Right.
Siri's fault. Who went all that
Well,
way.
Flash and
Or the
yeah.
Flash and Siri and all that stuff. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that actually there's two things. One quick thing, I'm not going to talk about it a lot. I'm just going to drop this little quote unquote bombshell. Apparently, the new Windows IE replacement is going to run up to, I think it's at 100 times faster than Google Chrome. And I said, okay, in the lab, but let's see how it is in real life.
Yes.
Right.
So yeah,
Was
they
that
made some
100
crazy.
times or 100% faster?
Maybe it's 100%.
Yeah, because that's only 2 times faster.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that's when I was saying it, I'm thinking, I was just kind of was like verbal blah.
Right.
I'm thinking, oh, that did sound a little
Right.
hyperbolic.
Yeah, in certain
Hyperbole.
situations that can be really nice,
Mhm.
but I really doubt that's going to be what happens.
Well, they said up to. See, and in my
Right.
Google post or Google Plus post, I said the key word here is up to. So if it's
Right.
like 2%, who cares?
And I think our bigger concern with
You know.
browsers, I mean, they're all really fast overall. Our big concern right now is security.
Mhm.
And with Microsoft's history on security when it comes to their browser, they don't even participate in the pwn to own. They don't even offer a prize for owning. I'm like, we know you're going to own us. Just
Right.
just go ahead and take it over.
Well, even if the browser ran in the sandboxed, and again, on my Windows system at home, which I have to use for some of the financial markets software I use, I have something called Sandboxy. So
Yeah.
I can sandbox my browser. Now, if somebody owns that browser, they still stay inside that
Inside the
box, right?
sandbox. Yeah.
So it seems to me that, of course, if you're going to your bank account,
Yes.
but that's cubes, and we talk about cubes every once in a while. I'm waiting for them to come out with Cubes 3. That is
Yeah.
a hypervisor based distro that you've got several domains where you've got the domain of apps that go out to external, and then you've got things that stay internal. It's really pretty cool how they segregate. I mean, it's really very
It is,
tightly.
but if you didn't see, there was an update, a security update for the 4 series VirtualBox. They found a way to break out of the VirtualBox and get into the host OS via the
No.
floppy driver.
Yeah.
Yes, so they,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, there's some very clever people. No code should be overlooked. So I'm always be super security conscious. You wouldn't think
Mhm.
you'd be able to break out of it, but they found a way to break out via the floppy driver into the host OS.
Now the floppy. So if
You have to have floppy enabled, so it's a really low risk. 'Cause not a lot
okay,
of people do.
okay,
Right.
that's interesting though.
Still, they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are trying.
Okay. All right. So anyway, but I think just wrapping up my news, I had that. I also had just quickly, you saw that Google they've embraced rival OpenStack cloud as a sponsor, and there was some talk about why you're doing that with a rival, but the rationale for doing it is because they want to make sure there's some interoperability between um, these different cloud interfaces, these different cloud companies and entities. So they're extending themselves as a corporate sponsor to that particular group.
Nice.
So
So Ubuntu and their Snappy system, they're slowly moving into. I did a little reading on that. A couple neat things it supports is
now we know how you when you say I did a little reading on
little
that.
reading on it.
We now know how you did that.
Yes,
Pretty cool.
They're installing it as they're using AppArmor to do strong segregation of the applications, and they're deduping, which is kind of interesting. So if a library is integrated for one project and part of the distribution, part of that project, when they load it, Snappy will go, okay, that's already here on the system, so you end up with a lot less files on there. Snappy's, I didn't realize they were using it for all of their cloud and mobile systems. So like the Ubuntu phone application and all their current cloud server systems are already using Snappy. So they took it at their enterprise level and apparently had great success with it. Now they're going to be bringing it 1504 and beyond is going to have it integrated. Now they're not getting rid of your standard apt-get. They just would break massive amounts of compatibility, but they want to have a nice secure system with some options. So they're going to run both systems in parallel. And as with a lot of Linux, I don't think there's a need for them to take out apt-get. I doubt they will anytime soon until it's obsolete. But right now, I don't see it as obsolete.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. But just to comment on how Snappy is handling duplicates. I mean, it looks for duplicates
Yes.
and it accounts for them so that you don't get too much bloat.
Right.
That reminds me of PCBSD has got their push button installer, and they will take programs. I mean, I can get it's like a single file, but what happens is they check to make sure there's not duplicate versions of certain libraries and that type of thing, and they try to keep the system as lean as possible. So
Yeah.
it's the same kind of deal
Cool.
is my understanding. It is kind of cool.
Yeah. My stance on it is that it's just like their software center it's there. I've used it 2 or 3 times, but I'm still sticking with apt.
Yeah, whenever I build a new system, I got the same procedure, and because it's been doing it forever before they had a software center. If I want to clone my system, I built a new laptop. I want it to be the same as my work desktop. I use the apt list export to drop a text file, and I copy that text file over here, and I apt install, and it text files all the list of what I have installed on my PC, then dupes it over here.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really easy, and just do it from the command line, and it sits there forever, and it rebuilds all the same tools, loads all the same, Kden Live and all the different projects I have loaded, just loads them all back on there. So I can't remember everything I have on there.
Right.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Kden Live is the first thing I put on this once I got
You like it?
PCB. Oh yeah, I love it.
Yes.
We talked about it, I think, last episode.
Yeah, I did not get to doing my tutorials on it. I started them,
Mhm.
so I just have not published any of it. But I'm going to put together a couple really good tutorials with the new version.
Mhm.
Yeah. Nice.
Cool.
All right. Well, I didn't have any articles this week. Just busy family and work and everything.
Mhm.
So I guess what are we going on to?
One last quick thing is out of the top 500 supercomputers,
Oh yeah.
186 of them are running Linux. The
Hey.
other ones are running some variants of Unix, and there's one Windows supercomputer.
Yeah.
Wonder
So
who has
the
that
same
one.
the same one from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It is, I think.
Yeah. Well, the disappointing thing is we violated Moore's law here because apparently the Chinese supercomputer, I want to say it Tiahani, I don't know.
Mhm.
It still remains the top supercomputer, and it's been in service for 2 years. No one's
Hmm.
topped it.
Wow.
So seems like by now they should have,
Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Well, is it that nobody's trying anymore? Is it that cloud-based computing is
it could be they were
Is-
looking at the more distributed model. I mean, you look at
Mhm.
Google, they probably have more processing horsepower than anybody on the planet, but they never grouped it all together to do a benchmark.
Right.
They're busy. Like we can retrieve search results in milliseconds with so many petabytes of data, and
yeah,
we got nothing to prove.
right. Cool.
All right. What was that thing again? Sneep?
Spreed,
Spreed.
SPREED.
I don't know where I got that from. Okay, thanks. All right.
All right.
What it looks like. Watch when it goes.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Just-
oh, so that's what you're reading, one word at a time?
Mhm. You see how fast it can go, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to put that in the show. I
Oh,
love that.
yeah.
That thing is
I,
great.
and for those of you who are listening, what I just observed was it's like just this little dark window in the middle of Tom's screen, and
One word at a time.
one word at a time, and it was like the middle character of that word was
It
highlighted.
takes the emphasis character.
Okay.
So part of the consonants or the vowel, whatever it is. I don't know
Mhm.
exactly what algorithm you use to determine what the emphasis
A
character
a
is.
large
but
font. I mean, you could really
Yes.
see it.
What I
Um,
like about it too is you have a long article you put out there, you can just keep eating and drinking and never have to scroll.
Oh yeah. Huh.
Oh,
And that's
so-
a plugin for Chrome.
Yes, plugin for Chrome or Firefox works great. My other project had failed. Well, I didn't say failed. But I wrote a Chrome plugin myself to use my what's that, the motion control, Leap Motion.
Mhm.
I have a Leap Motion, and I did it so I can eat and do this with my hands, and it scrolls my screen back and forth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I haven't fixed the clicking part yet, but it's kind of neat that way when I'm eating, you don't have to have sticky fingers. I like the If you haven't played with Leap Motion, they're kind of fun.
Mm-mm.
Neat. Yeah, I haven't.
Huh. Oh, and you can actually donate to that Spreed project via Bitcoin. They have their Bitcoin address listed.
Yes.
So that could be cool.
Actually, I have some interest. I sit on the board of the Children's Dyslexia Center in Michigan,
Mhm.
and I was talking about this, and the teachers are going to experiment with it to see if it helps dyslexic kids because it pulls out one word at a time like that.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
finding it very interesting. She's going to do some work with some of the kids there. It's
Yeah.
pretty neat.
Yeah.
That's nice. Because what a part of dyslexia is grabbing the word next to it instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why they looked at it and thought it was really interesting. So they're
Mhm.
going to talk to some of the students and see if they like it. And I don't know that I know of. I didn't find anyone who tried to apply this to that type of application to help someone read. But they're always open to any technology that helps the kids read. Sometimes focus is a lot of the
Mhm.
issue because they'll start reading both ways. They'll do that, but pulling it out, you can slow it down to one word a minute. So you get on there. So it might be an interesting reading.
It's
tool.
good to know I can start
Yes.
slow and
You
then
start
increase.
slow.
Right.
I was watching
Yes.
your screen, Tom, and I'm thinking, holy smokes, I'm gonna have to really brush up on my speed. But yeah,
It
it's
doesn't take
controllable.
long at all.
Okay. Huh. Well, that's gonna be interesting. Okay. Well,
All right. Well, I guess we're going on to listener feedback. Or
I
yeah,
think
unless
so.
you guys had something else you
I
want to
don't
talk
have
about
anything
during the
else.
show.
No conventions. We did that last episode.
All right. And my apologies. I just now got Tom on our mailing list, or our mailing forward. So he hasn't gotten any of these emails. But Mary should have if you had them. But anyway, so we got an email from Kevin O'Brien right after the last show, and he was talking about the
I didn't see it.
LastPass hack.
Oh, okay.
And he says he completely agrees with Tom that LastPass is still safe, even if you use it properly, or if you use it properly. And in fact, that I have a show on HPR, Hacker Public Radio, that covers that in detail, and it was actually
July
ran on
10th.
July 10th. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, we can look back in the archives and.
yeah, and Kevin's really knowledgeable a lot
Yeah.
of this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, look up HPR and the July 10th episode.
That's right. That's friend of the show, Kevin O'Brien.
That's right.
Yes.
So
Scott Dowdle emailed us,
I did not.
and he says that Mary, you mentioned trying to run Minecraft and it's not working on console Linux. He says that he missed a few episodes, but he didn't know if we had covered Minecraft at all on the show.
No,
We haven't.
no, we didn't. I think, yeah, I only covered it as one of the things that was on that Linux console distro.
And he says he suggested Mind Test
Okay,
and Voxlens.
okay.
I guess those are Minecraft clones. I don't know
Yeah,
anything
well,
about it.
I'm
so,
gonna thank
Tom, you
Scott
know
for
more
that,
about
but I
it than we
probably
do.
won't try it because it was really only in context of that distro review.
Oh,
but-
okay.
I could bring my daughter in. She could do an entire show on Minecraft.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? He actually goes on to explain it.
All right,
Before
let's go
So he
ahead.
says Mind Test is a reasonable Minecraft clone that's written in C. Vox, I think it's Voxlands, Voxelands,
Voxelons.
yeah, is a fork of Mind Test.
Oh, okay.
And both are pretty darn good and FOSS, so they're free open source. Anybody interested in
never played
Minecraft
it.
should check them out. Mind
Maybe I
Test,
will look at it. I'll report back next episode.
and he says Mind Test is a stock package in most distros.
Hmm.
So I'm assuming if it's a clone, then you'd be able to connect to Minecraft servers with it, then, right?
No,
No.
no. And in case you didn't know, Notch, the original developer of Minecraft, sold Minecraft to Microsoft. And so I really think that the restrictions are going to be there, that they're not going to let other ones on there. Because they're very specific about, even when you connect to servers, that it's only other authenticated ones. Part of it you don't want is, of course, like any game, you don't want any hacking. You don't want anyone to have any advantages over someone else if you're doing something competitively on there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm going to assume that they don't allow interoperability.
Right. Okay.
Hmm.
Cool.
Well, thanks, Scott. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Minecraft's a great game for kids, though. I mean, it's not just popular; it actually
Is that the? Oh, and I'm going to reveal once again my ignorance. I have never played the game. Well, and I couldn't get it to start in that distro I reviewed. Is it? Is it? I think I saw somebody playing it once where you're kind of walking along and you're chunking out squares of the ground.
Yes.
What is the point?
You can build. Well, there's a couple different modes. You have survival mode where you're
I
going
said
to,
respectfully.
Yeah.
What is the point of that?
Yeah, where you survive it and things like that, where
Yeah.
you have things you have to do,
Okay.
food and that. But there's a lot of cooperative, and which really gets interesting to cooperative is to see the massive, massive buildings that people have made. When you think about groups of strangers getting online and together constructing a castle together with lots of functions, and it has a logic system built into it, so you can actually some of them build calculators and things like that. But there's a lot of logical programming that can go into it.
Okay.
And so they're doing this. It's a learning.
So these things will be
experience, too.
functional. I mean, you just
Very
won't look at
functional.
them, but they'll have functions that
Yes.
will
And
work. And
what do people create maps? Actually, it's often crowdsourced. They'll create a map that has a lot of challenges in it and has a lot of logic functions where you have to solve something, and then people go and play on that server to go solve the riddles created by others
Oh,
as a
okay,
challenge, name
okay.
crime challenge. So it's a cooperative game. It can have a lot of interaction with people, and sometimes they have ones that are multiplayer interaction where one person has to hold a switch over here, another person holds it over here, so someone else can get over there to drop the bridge, so they can hold the switch, so the other people can cross the bridge. It's cooperative, and I think it's a neat tool, and I let my kids play it a little bit obsessively, but I like that game a lot of other than some of the other mindless shoot 'em up games.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of thought that has to go into it and challenges, and then they've gotten into creating maps and things like that. It's a neat system.
You know, my nephews and nieces, they're all into it, and I've tried to get my brother and sisters to explain it to me, and they couldn't explain it to me like that. So
It's
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard. I think South Park, if you've seen the episode about Minecraft, they nailed it.
Oh,
So
I
the
haven't.
parents aren't allowed to know, and the kids come up with an entire passphrase system based on Minecraft. Which block do you need for this? What 2 blocks do I need to have a better sword? And the parents can't answer the riddles.
That's funny.
All right.
All right. So that was what we had for listener feedback.
Okay.
And I guess the last thing on our list is our music for this week.
Featured music of the week.
And it's Mary sent me this suggestion. I really liked it, and I was telling you before the show that Mary sent me
Kids
a couple
started
of 'em.
dancing to it.
Yeah, we were sitting down for dinner last night and I started playing them, and my 2 kids they started dancing to it. So I'm like, I think that's a good hit. So the song is it's called "Steady B" by Traffic to Blues.
From France.
Yep, they're from France. So let's listen. Oh, I gotta unmute my phone.
There you go.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So
Yeah.
it's a little clip of the song, and if you want to listen to the rest of it, go ahead and to our edited show.
Yeah, made me want to go get some gumbo. Gumbo
Yeah.
and a beer.
um, and one more thing that we're kicking around that we're gonna change up the show slightly.
Hmm.
You know, with Matt stepping out and Tom coming in. That obviously you've heard some changes so far. Not that we've really pointed out anything, but we're going to work out a little bit of a different format
Hmm.
and just keep things moving and slightly shorter slow shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll be calling it the FreeBSD review. Is that
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I got that mixed up.
Right. So I guess that's
right.
we're to the end of the show.
Okay.
You've been listening to the Sunday Morning Linux Review. This was episode 155.
Flash is dead.
Flash is dead.
Sure.
Sure. Somebody better tell those websites
Yes,
because we could say it, but if those sites keep doing it.
that's true.
That's right. And this is Tony Bemis.
Mary Tomich.
And Tom Lawrence.
See you next episode.
Yeah.
All right, we can kill
right.
and then I'll do the intro.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. So this is where we do the intro if you're listening on YouTube.
YouTube, where we'll splice this out and put it at the beginning. So
That's
let's
right.
see, what do we got? We got Tom's tooltips with the mail server thing.
Post great.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, I guess we'll. All right.
I had nothing other than
Your
Sorry.
masterful work at the soundboard.
soundboard and editing. Yeah.
Yeah, post great. Flash is
Yeah.
dead. And
Yeah. So, okay. Well, let's
new
do this.
VirtualBox.
All right. On this edition of Sunday Morning Linux Review, Tom Lawrence is going to talk about. Well, Tom, tell him.
Post gray and how to stop spam.
Yay! And then, of course, I'll interject a little comment about how to stop those spam phone calls.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also will be, of course, covering this week's distro releases. We've got some news, some interesting news, including Siri, a little problem that Siri had. And Tony, I know you'll be interjecting. You've got some bits that you'll be interjecting along the way, and
That's right.
as well as handling the soundboard with the expertise that you always do. So stay tuned for Sunday Morning Linux Review. I tried.
It's good enough for me.
All right.
I'm fine.
Just all ad lib.
Right.
It's like I go into ad lib mode and I don't know.
No problem.
All
All right. Goodbye, YouTubers.
Bye, everybody.
Or you know what? We've been saying that for years. YouTubers. We're the YouTubers. They're the listeners, right?
Bye, listeners. Bye, viewers. No, they're viewers.
They say
YouTube
that. They say
viewers.
YouTubers. Anybody
okay.
who's interacting with YouTube, whether they're videoing or they're getting the video.
Ah.
YouTubers.
Okay.
Yeah, my cousin's a big YouTuber. She just got her platinum for breaking the 100,000 subscribers and still going.
And
Wow.
she makes a little living off that,
She makes
doesn't
a
she?
living off that. She
Really?
bought a couple new Jeeps. So,
Exactly.
Wow.
New Jeeps, new camper.
Yeah. So just think if we reorganize this and really make it,
Well, let's work on it.
Yeah.
I'll be game.
All right.
All right.
All right.
All right. Now you know our plans.
All
Our
right.
plans for world domination.
Yes.
YouTube domination. Bye.
All right. Bye.